Mistaken. If you can hear me, and if you could tell us what exactly is transpiring there now that the Prime Minister has also resigned, will this be the end of protest?
Um, yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for inviting me. So yes, indeed, how the protest began was definitely asking for accountability. We were looking for a government that were accountable for answering all the questions, all the voices that was raised in the protest. We wanted answer. We wanted justice. Either ways, either it is via raise, via silent protest, one way or the other, we were looking for answers to all our injustice, all the corruption money, all the taxes money. We don't know where taxes money are going. We were asking for answers all along. These protests began. It was not just a mere protest that it started because of a social media ban. This started because the Generation Z, not just Generation Z, even before us, millennials, everyone, our voices were silenced. It was silence in different sectors, be it in health sector protest, be it in teachers protest. Our voices were silent. And our generation were silent, saying either we were too naive to understand or we are too young to understand politics. But this was not a political movement. Each and every individual came out in the road to ask for integrity, to ask for accountability, to ask for a just nation, to ask all the corrupt individuals, all the corrupt bureaucrats to just resign, to let us lead the nation we want to see. Let us be the future. Many of my brothers and sisters shed their blood yesterday. It seemed like a murder scene. It was not just a police control of riot, but rather it was massacre. To put it very straight, it was a culpable homicide. We had to lose. I had to witness a lot of blood being shed in the roads. The voices who had nothing but a pen and a pencil in their hand and were coming to raise voices for a better future. But unfortunately, these people will no longer be in the future. They were planning, they were voicing, they were protesting for a future. And I feel so much pride that we have accomplished what we were aiming for. We were aiming for the resignation of the reigning Prime Minister. We were aiming for the resignation of the Home Minister. We've achieved that. But those 1920 civilian casualty could not witness this. But their blood did not go in vain. We got it. We got our nation back. Now it's in our hand. We got what we're planning for it's achieved now. But not everything is not achieved. Just a part of it. A lot more has to be done. A lot more. This is just a minuscule beginning of so many greater things in Nepal that needs to be done.
You could elaborate on what that is. What is it that you're hoping for next? The government has fallen. Are you expecting new elections to be held? Are you expecting that there could be an interim chief at the helm who perhaps would be acceptable to the protesters as well? Is that something that you're hoping for?
Yes, definitely. So first and foremost, what we're hoping for is an interim government formation, because we cannot be a guardianless state. As much as I, law student, understand this, the citizens, everyone protesting there, we all are, the most concerned we are is about nation. And now the nation is falling. We have successfully dethroned those reigning in power, but now our nation is falling. Now it's high time we come collectively together to build a nation we've always dreamed of. The nation we wanted to see. The nation we had in our eyes before we went to shed blood in those fields. And definitely, so now in the current scenario, we are opting for a interim government and a very early election. And elections should be impartial. It should not be like previous, even in Nepal, when previously election used to held, there is a multi-party democracy system in Nepal. So everyone get elected via party. There is a party election, and then there is first past the post, there is lower house, there is upper. So what I'm opting for is a constitution amendment as well. We have to be able to hold a direct election. We have to be able to hold a direct election for the Prime Minister who will have the supreme authority of the nation, who will be controlling the nation. I know constitutional amendment is not an easy task, and Nepal's constitution is very stiff. This needs a policy change, this needs amendment in constitutions, but we have a lot of great individuals who are willing to put forward their expertise, their opinions, their anything.
Speaking of those individuals, Priyadarshini, I want to ask you this. One of the names that's doing the rounds is the mayor of Kathmandu, Mr. Balin Shah, if I'm not mistaken. Is he an acceptable candidate for those who've been protesting?
Yes, definitely. So I live in Kathmandu itself. He is mayor of my Kathmandu. And I've lived in Kathmandu for now 17, 18 years. And I've seen Kathmandu change its face. Be it the dumping sites, be it the roads, be it the traffic clearance. I have definitely seen the change. And these are not just a minuscule change. No matter how big or small the change is a change. And what we believe is a change maker who is willing to make a change. Before this, a lot were elected. Before this, many of the mayors have come and gone, but they had just reigned on their throne, nothing claimed. But Balin came, he sat on that chair, and we can see his work being done. So definitely we would love if he is willing to lead, because we need someone who is as patriotic as each and every individual. We need someone who loves the nation, who isn't there for opportunities, who isn't there for any political agenda or ideology. We need someone who is patriotic. We need someone who is willing to make the change, and we are willing to make the change. And so if those political leaders, if Balin Saha, as much as I know, as much I have seen, he is willing to make a change. And if someone is willing to make a change, if someone is very as patriotic as each and every individual shedding blood and tears in that protest, we are happy to give that to him.
Sure. So whether he decides to take up that responsibility or not, we will find out. But
yes.
The kind of scenes that we are seeing from not just Kathmandu but different other cities across Nepal as well, is that those protests, the kind of stone pelting and arson and vandalism, that's still going on. Now that the government has fallen, now that KP Sharma Oli has resigned, will we see an end to those protests? Will your team members, your colleagues, all of the protesters that have been out on the streets for several weeks now, will they retreat?
Definitely. So now, until yesterday, this was a very peaceful protest. We were only opting for peace. We were advocates of peace. We never wanted vandalism. We never wanted violence. We do not condone violence. We do not want violence anywhere in the world. Our generation is the most woke generation. We understand. We are not just advocates for what's happening in our nation, even in geopolitical issues, everything. Our generation, I believe, is the one of the most woke generation. And we were never opting for violence. But when the voices are very much suppressed, when it was not just a riot control, when it turned out to be a massacre, a culpable homicide, everyone went outrageous. The frustration went out of hand. The point is, what we're looking for is definitely achieved, but not even a minuscule part of it is achieved. We demanded resignation. We got it. We're glad. I'm very proud of
speaking with us here on CNN News 18. But like I said, political activity and developments are taking place at a quick pace in our neighborhood in Nepal. Former Prime Minister and Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Doba and his wife were assaulted by protesters, is what we're given to understand. These are escalating protests. As I was speaking to Priyadarshini, one of the law students that has been protesting as well, even as we see the fall of the